Tuesday night, so it is time for my weekly online class to go. So if you're new to my Facebook page or YouTube channel, welcome. Each week on Tuesday nights I do a live class. We make 3 cards or 3 projects in the class, and for anyone who places an order of $75 or more, that's before shipping and after any Stamp and Rewards redemption, in my online store before the end of Saturday night, I will send you the kits to make 2 each of the 3 cards from this week's class. So you'll get all the cardstock, designer series paper, any die cuts that are not part of the featured bundle. For any die cuts that are from the featured bundle, you'll get the cardstock or designer series paper, depending on what's used, and you'll just need to die cut those yourselves. Main reason for that is it's often stamped images, can't send stamped images, so it makes more sense to send you the cardstock. You can stamp with what you have and then die cut your preferred shape based on what bundle you have. And this week from tomorrow, so Wednesday, through to the end of Friday, there are double Stamp and Rewards. So for orders over, I think it's $35, you'll earn Stamp and Rewards, and from Wednesday through the end of the Friday, those are doubled. So this week's featured bundle, or actually it's not a featured bundle, it's just a stamp set, is the Thoughtful Octopus stamp set. So I'll just switch my camera around and I'll show you the projects first. So these are the 3 projects for this week, and this is the stamp set. So you've got the octopus and then other stamps for sort of scenery, extra embellishments, and a selection of sentiments. So there are no dies that coordinate with this stamp set, but I haven't stamped and fussy cut the octopus, so you don't have to do that for any of these. Just a couple of the small images that are very easy to fussy cut. So let's get started. We will start with this one here. So for this one, we have a Coastal Cabana base, and then got a couple of pieces of designer series paper, and I have pre-stamped and cut the small images, so I'll leave those aside for the moment because they are quite small, some of them. Well, the balloons aren't that small, but so we will start with this one. So this is, yes, this is the 2-tone pool party, so you can go with either the light or the dark side. Which side did I go with for this one? I can't remember. I went with the darker side, I think, for this one, but you can go with whichever you prefer. So we'll just get this one down first. And then that can go on the base. All right, so just like that, across a bit further. There we go. That's all good. All right, put that aside for the moment, and we will stamp on the DSP first. So this is same as the spotty one. This is from the Beautiful Ordinary Life designer series paper. So I'm going to stamp the octopus in Calypso Coral. Just make sure that's well inked up. So don't want it right at the bottom. We want a little bit of space, but not too much in the center. There we go. And then I'm going to bring in some cherry cobbler. And so I've got two of the images from the stamp set. I've got the sort of the little bubbles. Those are just going to go, I'm going to put those at the top of his head. And then the little small strip of dots, I'm just going to go around and just once on each tentacle. And which way is this one going? No, let's go this way. There we go. Alright, so that's those two. Hi Dimity, how are you? And I'm going to bring in Memento Black for the face, or at least the eyes and the mouth. Okay, then I've got this is the largest sort of dotty stamp, so this is going along the bottom, and we're going to use crumb cake for this one. So just going to go kind of all over. I'm going to come back to the bottom section in a sec, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to get every little gap, just get as much as you like. And I'm going to just ink up just the ends for a couple, just to get in a bit closer without overdoing it, and I think that's probably about enough. And then Granny Apple Green. I'm good, we finally got the car back today, so just went and picked it up at the end of the day, so we have a car again, which is very good. Oops. So I'm just going to stamp this one in a few times. Just clean up the ink off my desk. So that is it for that bit, but we may as well just do the sentiment while we're here. If I can find my sentiment piece. I'm pretty sure I put it back in here, and it seems to have, oh no, there, no, yes, no, no, that's not it. I did have it, and now I have misplaced it. Let's just check. Nope, it has disappeared, but that's all right. I have my measurements. Let's just, it is probably lying around. I've got lots of little scraps all over the place. Let's just cut a new one. This is a little bit bent, but, well, it's curved, not bent, but actually that. I'm not convinced that is straight, but I don't know if it's just, no, it's not, but I'm not going to be, it probably didn't help that it wasn't, it was a bit curved when I cut it, but that'll be fine. I'm going to cut the end off anyway, so let's just go with it, see how we go. So, Calypso Coral for the sentiment. Just try and straighten it a bit. That was not a very good job. That's a bit better. Alrighty, and then I will bring in the 3 banner punch and just punch the ends. It's a little wider than the punch, but we just trim off. Oh, if it wants to, no, it's not cooperating tonight. I will fix that later. Let's just straighten this up. Actually, if your punch ever does do what mine has just done and jams up like this, which does happen occasionally, one way you can fix that is if you drop it, well, I say gently but not too gently, on a carpeted surface, so don't do this on tiles or concrete or anything like that, but if you drop it, let's see if this works. It might take a couple goes. Not quite. Of course, it's probably not going to work for me tonight, but there we go. And it is working again. So you may need to start off dropping gently-ish and use a little more force if you need to, but do it on a soft surface like a carpeted surface, and that should get your punch going again. Alrighty, this bit is going to bug me. I'm going to try and straighten this up a bit. It's just, it is going to, well, it's straight, it's just a bit jagged from the punch, so I am going to try and fix it a little. That will do. All right, now we can start to put the rest of this together. If you don't have carpet, Timothy, I'm just trying to think. I know I haven't tried this, but I have seen people suggest, I think, putting it in the freezer for a bit. I think that was a jammed punch option. Not sure what surfaces would work without damaging your punch. Definitely not on tiles. You'll potentially also break the tiles or crack them. Definitely not cement flooring. Maybe go outside and do it on the grass. Seriously, that would probably be my next option if I didn't have carpet. At least right now, off the top of my head, I can't think of a surface that would work in the same way. I know there are a few different ways or options you can try to unjam punches. Throwing it on the carpet's my go-to, and it's also good if you're annoyed and you can just maybe throw it, you know, possibly with a little more force than is necessary sometimes. Oops. So I have got the two of the balloons which I've fussy cut, and also the bows. So I'm just gonna the bow on the string, and I did these separately. You could stamp the balloon and then the bow on and string on top and then cut that out as one. I did them separately just because I was using up some very small scraps and it was a bit easier to do it this way. If you are doing these separately, particularly for the string when you're fussy cutting, because it can get a little tricky sort of as you get closer to the end and there's less cardstock to hold on to. My recommendation is as you cut, try and keep as much on or as much still attached for as long as possible. So you might cut down to the end, but don't cut, like if you've got, let me pull this, here's the spare one. So you might cut down to the bottom of the string and then across and back up. Keep this bottom bit attached. Keep as much of the piece attached as you can for as long as you can. It just makes it a little easier to handle, because once you get down to having very, very tiny pieces, it can get a little tricky to hold on to it and cut it. All right, so I'm just am not going to put dimensionals on the balloon string because that's just far too narrow even for me. So I'm popping up the balloon but not the string. The string we are just going to add a little adhesive and pop that down. So I'll do that for this one. This one will pop up a bit higher. There we go. And then what we need to do the little hat. No, those are too big. And then I just need a small piece. Oops, my scissors are not wanting to cut through this. And I've probably gone with a piece that's a little too big, but let's see. That should be all right. You can always stick the balloon down flat, but I'm going to pop this one up, and I'm then going to move it across. This one's going to go a bit more in the center. There we go. All right, we can use the bigger dimensionals for this one. And I'm going to pop this one off to the side. I had one when I recorded a reel for this one. My piece was a little bit smaller, so I ended up moving it across, but this one's a bit bigger and it's going to cut into the balloon. So we're going to go across off the edge, which is what I did for the original. Alrighty, let's pop the insert down. Alright, so for this one I've used some, well, one's definitely retired, one is possibly still on last chance list. I'm not sure if there's any of these still left, but yeah, any gem in similar colors is going to be absolutely fine. So I've got a couple of the rainbow adhesive backed dots. Oops. And then one that is some definitely retired, the Riverside Irregular Pearls. So pop a few of those down. Alrighty, and is the first one done. Hi Renee, how are you? Just finished the first one, so we can pop that one to this side and come back in. So this is the second one. So this one is an Azure Afternoon base. And then I've got two lots of DSP. I've got the Waterside Retreat paper and some of the beautiful bokeh paper, and I have an extra piece here. Let me just check if these are the same size. Yes, they are, which is good. Yeah, all good. Just checking. And then I've got the hat, which I've already fussy cut. We'll put that on. We'll pull that out later. It'll get lost if I pull it out now. So I've got some Misty Moonlight two-tone. So again, you can go light or dark side. I'm going to go the dark for this one. So we can pop this one down. Just make sure when you pop this down on your card base that you've got it, the pattern the right way up. All right. So get that one down, and then we can put that to the side for the moment. For this one, and I should probably clean my stamp before we start because I'm going with a different color, and same for the sentiment. Alrighty, so this one I am going with Gorgeous Grape. Just need to be careful when you do the face stamp, the eyes and the mouth, that you've got it well inked up, because this is a bit darker. It still shows up. You just need to make sure you've got plenty of ink on your black. So make sure we've got this one well inked up, and I think I see, don't know if it's a, no, I always get little splotches. I think that will be okay. It is going to bug me until I get it right. No, it still seems to want to, still wants to be difficult. Fine, we'll just see how we go. So a little bit up from the bottom. There we go. And then I'll do the eyes and make sure I've got plenty of ink, and I will press down a little harder when I stamp this one just to make sure that it is visible. It may not be super clear on camera, but it is definitely visible. It's just probably not super clear on camera, but it is there. Okay, crumb cake again for the area below, and same as before, we're just going to stamp all across. We can just add in any little extras, just, you know, ink up a couple little spots at a time for any areas where you just need to get a few spots in. And I think we're just about good to go. I'm just going to add a little bit in there. That should be enough. And then Granny Apple Green again. Oops, try not to get it all over my fingers and my gloves. Meant to wipe that off on my hand, or my other fingers, not my gloves, but oh well. Alrighty, so that is done, and you can always double stamp the face if you find that it hasn't come up as well as you'd like, just or go over it with basic black blends with the bullet tip. Especially if you're not confident of being able to stamp again in exactly the same spot, if you use your blends, or if you've got the journaling pens or fine line or anything like that, you can go over that with go over the eyes and the mouth with that, and it will show up a bit better. Let's do the sentiment before I forget. So I'm going with Misty Moonlight for this one. Go. Alright, so we can pop that one down. I'm not punching the ends of this one, so we don't need to worry about my punch jamming up on me again. Although I'm possibly using it on my, yes, I think I am using it on the next card. We shall see how that goes. Alrighty. Let's get this together so we can put this one down. And we'll pop this one up on dimensionals. So that's just going to go up across the center. the top. Doesn't have to go right up at the top. Bring it down a bit so there's not quite so much gap in between. And then I've got my, when I get it out, my stamped and fussy cut little party hat. And let's see if my other scissors will cooperate a bit better with cutting up dimensionals, although that one was too thick for where it's going. That's a bit better. Let's try and straighten that up a bit. And a bit more. Get the backing off that one, and let's just bring it down if it's going to cooperate. There we go, much better. Alrighty, and we're going to pop his hat off to the side slightly. Alrighty, now we just, oh, we need to do the insert. And my tape runner has, I think I need to clean out the little glue boogers at the top because it keeps catching. That's alright, can do that later. And we will pop that one down, and then embellishments for this one, I have gone with some of the retired faux sea glass shapes and some of the Last Chance List holographic resin dots. Let's go with these ones first because they're right here. Maybe move that dimensional back to its shape. So these are the ones that I also used on some of the Scenic Coast cards. I found them when digging through looking for embellishments and figured they would go quite nicely with a lot of the sort of water themed ones, and I went with the smallest ones for this. And there is the second one. Alrighty, one more to go. So now this one, when I was originally designing these cards, one of the sentiments in the pack jumped out at me for a particular very good friend who I need to make a card for, and so for this one we're going with a birthday sentiment, but for the one that I made for my friend, which is a slight variation on this one, is the "If I could hug you with 8 arms, I would." I saw that, and that was just the perfect sentiment for that point in time for that particular friend. So that card is on its way. It will arrive eventually. so I've gone with a very slight variation on it. And so I've used the Beach Boardwalk Designer Series paper, and I've just used the Stylish Shapes dies to cut a few circles out. We did have a die a few years back that had a similar sort of setup. It was one die that cut a few different shapes, but they weren't quite the right size, so I just use Stylish Shapes for that one. Now let me just clean these stamps that need to be cleaned so I don't mess my ink pads up. Alright, so let's put that to the side. First things first, the basic white piece is the same size, and that's going to sit behind. Now, I find it easier to do it this way. You don't have to do this if you don't need to, but I'm just going to very lightly trace the outline of the circle, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a bit easier for me to know kind of where I'm. Oops, that was not very good, but that's close enough. And we're going to erase all of that afterwards anyway. I might just do this little bit now just before I start stamping over it, but if you don't need the guide, then you absolutely don't have to do it this way. This is just what I find a bit easier. Alright, so we're going to stamp in these two circles. So the first one, I'm going to do the octopus, and I'm using Highland Heather for this one. So it's a little lighter than the gorgeous grape, but I have recently re-inked my stamp pad, but I do just need to make sure it is well inked up, and I think that's looking pretty good. And I want to do it on a bit of an angle, so you just want to make sure the head fits in, and doesn't have to be centered, just somewhere within, and just decide, you know, whether you want any of the tentacle ends in or not. And then we will do the eyes and mouth. And then I need to, which one did I use? It was that one. Clean that one before we start using that one. So this is the sort of middle size, the smaller bubble stamp, and Misty Moonlight for this one. And we're just going to stamp sort of all over. Doesn't matter that you go outside the circle, because that's all going to be covered up anyway. and the center's less of a concern because a lot of that is going to be covered by the sentiment, but I'm just going to try and get a few little bits, and we can check. So that's going to sit across there, so I think that is looking pretty good. I think I've got, yep, I've gone well and truly over the edges, so that is what I want. And then we may as well, we will stamp the sentiment. So Highland Heather again, where did I put it? Staring me in the face, no doubt. There it is. Highland Heather for the sentiment. May as well do this part now, and then we need the little seahorses. So I did one in strawberry slush and the other in lemon lime twist. Where is my little seahorse? There he is. And we'll just make sure we give that a clean before we do the next one. And we're just going to go slightly higher for that one. Alrighty, so that is all the stamping done, I think. Yes, it is. So, because I've already done and cut the little cupcakes and the hat, so everything's had, actually let's punch this out. I just want to give, and hopefully it will not jam on me this time. Just want to give the ink as much time, that's better, as possible to dry before I start to erase the lines. So just trim those off, and we can start that one is looking pretty good. This one, it's a lot of it's actually ends up being covered by the stamping, which is always a good thing, but I do want to try and get as much of it off as I can, just in case it's not quite covered by the paper. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that's a tiny bit more there. All right, that should be That's looking good to go. All right. So now we will pop this one over the top. Let's just make sure it's all going to line up the way we want. That's looking about right. Alright, so we can add go around all the circles just to make sure it's going to sit nicely. And just straighten that up so it's all sitting where we want. Get the excess glue off my hands. Alrighty, so that is looking good, and I don't see any stray markings on there, so that is what we want. So we can pop this one down now. And we straighten that up a bit. Apologies if you can hear my dog chewing on her leg in the background. She did decide this morning that one of my tubs of paper scraps was the perfect thing to play with, so she was having a great time just throwing that all over the floor. Alrighty, so that's going to sit there. That one will pop up there, and let's pop a couple of dimensionals around. Got a few extra backings that decided to come along for the ride. This one is going to sit in the center there. We can pop this one up on dimensionals as well. Oops. Try not to throw it around the room too much. So pop that one over the center, and then add the insert. And yes, I do have quite a chunk of adhesive sitting up in that top corner. Let's get that off. That's better. Alrighty. Put that down, bring that back over. And for this one, I have got the sea glass shapes again, and then I'm also using the strawberry slush and pretty in pink gems. I just want one of the little ones from the top, so they're pretty much clear, these ones. And then I'm going to use a bunch of these ones. And a couple of, oh, we haven't quite finished. I forgot. We need to add the cupcakes and the party hat. How did I forget all of those? Alrighty, where are they? Here they are. Thought something was missing. Let's get these out. So as you can see, these are quite small, but they are pretty easy to fussy cut. They're just tiny little pieces. Now, which is the correct side? That's the side I want. That side is getting the dimensional. So let's pop one down on that now before I get it mixed up again. And these just need one each of the little ones. Maybe straighten it up a touch. Let's put that one down, seeing as it's in my hand. And we need a small little piece for the top of the hat. Just keeps it a bit more level and sitting nicely than without it. So we'll pop that one down, and then if I can actually pick them up, the final two little cupcakes. Oh. And that one we're going to pop just down in there. Alrighty, and there is the third one. Alrighty, so let me bring all of these back in. There we go. So these are the 3 cards for this week's class. So you have until the end of Saturday night to get your orders in if you want to receive the kits for these. And remember, from tomorrow through till the end of Friday night, there are double stamp and rewards. So you'll get a little bonus this week as well. Alrighty, let me just switch my camera back. There we go. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me. Next week's class is the Forever Florals bundle. So, yeah, let me just, yes, Forever Florals. So that will be next week, and that is all from me for tonight. Although, just a reminder, the registrations for the 12 Weeks of Christmas are still open. The link to the form will be in my email tomorrow, and the registration for the paper share ribbon share for the upcoming catalogue that is still open. The link to register for that is also in tomorrow's email as well. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the projects. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to see more of the projects, get the notifications for my videos, remember to like and subscribe. But otherwise, until next time, happy crafting!